Well, good morning.
Morning.
That was supposed to be 30 seconds, but I
No,
guess not.
it was like 5.
I know, I wasn't ready for that. Yeah, oh boy. Good morning. This is Rhonda with Share, helping Help at the Cooler with Rhonda and Cynthia. Now, Cynthia's in France today, so
Mm.
I have a very special guest here,
Where? Where?
J-
Who?
J- Jason Laigo. And he's already been out and about New York sampling bagels and he has his coffee.
Indeed.
So here's to you and here's
Cheers.
to good coffee.
That's right.
Today we're going to talk about the power of positive thinking. And
Amongst other things.
what's that?
I said amongst other things.
Amongst other things. So fasten your seatbelt and enjoy the ride. So, Jason, you are like the epitome of positive thinking and positive action.
Am I really?
To me, you are. Yes, he's humble too,
Uh, I,
and it's not easy in this industry to to be doing positive things all of the time. Um, and Jason and many others, of course, are very good at knowing what kind of mindset is going keeps them in the success mode and giving mode with their online business. So, share with me a little bit, Jason, how you do it. How do you integrate that with your life?
yeah, I mean, the way that I see it is that you don't really, I mean, ultimately everything comes down to choice, right? I mean, I think that when it comes to mindset, the simplest uh, definition, there's a lot of definitions out there. You can go, psychological with it and you can go deep, but really the simplest definition I found that I saw is just it's just an adapted set of attitudes that one holds, really is mindset. And so with that in mind, the big question is, what are you holding on to? You can choose how you can act and how you can react in this world, and there's enough negativity, and that doesn't mean that I am not negative towards certain things. It's just that I have decided ahead of time the things that I'm going to hate, the things I'm going to be against, and for the most part, it doesn't really help to be negative. I'd rather stay positive. So, it's funny to hear you say that I'm like the epitome of positivity. It's very hard for me to see that because, if you ask my kids and those who know me well enough, they can certainly tell you that I get annoyed with certain things and I can beat my chest about it. But overall, yeah, it just helps to be a little bit more positive, right?
Well, you are human after all.
That's what they say.
You definitely, but your definition just now it pretty much says it all, and it is a choice. Um, I I I don't know that people, some folks don't always know that they have a choice,
Sure.
and because of the environment they've been around all of their life. So
Yeah.
I know, speaking for myself, that I was so negative for so many years. I didn't even know it.
Mm.
And until some very caring people, and one of them was at work, an HR director that we became friends with, and he gave me an analogy of it helped me understand how I was coming across.
Mm.
And I had no clue. I was totally clueless. So ever since then, I've been open to listening to people's feedback and being able to understand that. Oh, okay, I had no idea I was coming across that way. So
Mm.
having trusting people around to double check that, mentors and friends to validate. Okay, was I coming across a little too strong there?
Yeah.
Or because I can be very assertive, and that puts some people back. And I've learned to be more direct in my life because I've worked around so many men, and they're all like, "Just get to the point, Rhonda. Get to the point."
Yeah, I mean,
Um,
hey, that's me 100%. I
yeah.
teach my wife and daughter and sons to be the same way, and I think being
Mhm.
assertive is fine. I think there's just a line when you start approaching aggressiveness. Especially aggressiveness without reason is where things get a little bit dicey, and that's the slippery slope. But I'm all for assertiveness, especially for women. I think there's no reason to not assert yourself and make your presence known. It's just, does it have to be obnoxious?
Right. Exactly. What kind do you want? You don't want to attract the wrong kind of attention.
There you go. Exactly.
No.
Exactly that.
Yeah. So I don't know. I could give an example. I went on a trip to Arizona three years ago. It was a road trip, and someone I went to college with, were 40 years ago. We went on the trip together, and all she did was complain. And at some point, I just said, "Okay, we have 3 more weeks on this trip," because we drove from Oklahoma to Arizona, and all the way around the Grand Canyon. It was for my 65th birthday, and talk about attracting the wrong kind of attention.
Yeah.
I probably shouldn't have named that. I didn't say the person's name, and I found out from other visitors, because we were staying at a lot of Airbnbs. I've never met the last 2 people I would ever meet that would be on a 3-week trip together, because our personalities were so opposite.
Sure.
And I was more laid back and just taking it all in, and she was the opposite from what people were telling me. And so it really does have a lot to do with how we come across. And I'm not there to change people. But it was a rude awakening how different folks can be.
Sure.
And So talking about the mindset and how we view different lives. I'm taking pictures and, oh my God, this and that and everything. And it was, to me, a fabulous trip. And so I don't know where I was going with that. Probably in the wrong direction. God.
I think there's a lesson to be learned there with regards to, choosing who you hang around. And I mean, sometimes in a work situation, maybe you don't always get a choice, but you can certainly set up boundaries. And one thing that I definitely don't like is, I'm with you. I can't stand whining. I have 5 children, so I hear my share of it. I really, thankfully, not too much, because I'm raising them a certain way, and I don't like whining from kids, but I really can't stand whining from grown-ups. Like I don't do that. So
we're not victims,
There's none.
No, and trying to attract attention to get people to feel sorry for you or for whining is just gonna push people away.
Yeah.
And it does, and a lot of the adults don't realize that's what they're doing.
Yeah.
And
Correct.
And I understand that, because I came from that, and fortunately I came across, coincidentally, some wonderful people that, if you realize you're coming across like I'm there. No, I had no idea. I thought I was the opposite.
Mm-hmm.
So what we think in our heads is completely different about how we're projecting ourselves.
Right.
So I've been focusing for years on being more positive and upbeat. And I do slip back, don't get me wrong, because I'm one that will come out and say, we won't have any complaining here. You helped plan this. So, and holding each other, I hold myself accountable, and I'll hold you accountable too if you're going to be a whiner.
Right.
And what does that do for you professionally? What does that do, Jason?
Well, it's funny. For me, accountability is everything. And so from a professional standpoint, it just translated into the professional from personal, as a personal philosophy that I've adopted. So for me, if I can give an example, my company, my business, my brand name is called Always Enterprise, right? I've got a YouTube channel, I've got websites and so on, and that's on all my marketing material. And the reason I chose that is because, even though, for those who don't know, I'm actually in several spaces, but primarily in the online marketing space, everything from affiliate marketing, MLM, consulting, coaching, crypto, a lot of different things. But when you're talking about online business and home-based business, it almost seems a kind of like a misnomer that you don't have to put any work in this day and time. Everyone looking for like a push button, streamlined turnaround thing where it really is just kind of set and forget. And that exists to a certain extent, but it still requires work to get up to that spot. And I say all that to say that the reason why I chose my name and my brand name is Always Enterprise is because the word enterprise itself implies that there's an undertaking. And ultimately, as in with any business and in any real venture in life, you have to be accountable at the very least. And I would argue at most to yourself, along with the people that you're serving. So I think that accountability is where it starts. One of my creeds on our manifesto is that it is ownership above all else. And I'm a firm believer in that.
I love that. And it's made a difference too for you.
Definitely.
And you're making it very clear who you are and what you're about. That communication is real important.
Absolutely.
And I love why you picked Always Enterprise. And with mine, it's Action Home Business, and I'm focusing on the action part because I've noticed that you don't get anywhere without taking action.
That's exactly.
I'll take imperfect action. I'm not too proud. My ego's not too big to make mistakes. And I'm okay with that, making a mistake, because then I can learn from it and move forward and get better. So Action Enterprise.
Well, hey, you put the two together, and one's related to the other for sure.
Yeah.
But I think going back to the point you said earlier, which is just a really smart tip in business, but then also for personal life too. It's just, you want to attract the right thing. So you determine what that is that you want in your life, in your business, and find a way to attract it. And the way that you attract it is by how you present yourself, put yourself out there, the expectations that you set that are either declared or implied by way of your philosophy, by way of your actions. That's what it's all about. And so I'm the people that are coming to me that I'm looking for, that would seek me out for either my professional help and otherwise. I'm looking for action takers, and I let them know up front. Like, it's not I'm not going to do everything for you. I'll show you what to do. The classic example and adage that says that you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink, right? You can take a kid to school, but you can't make him think. So I still fancy myself a young man, even though I got 5 kids that tell me otherwise. But as young as I am, I'm kind of old school in that way, and I'm okay with that.
You have every reason to be okay with that, and how wonderful that you're going to pass that on to 5 children. That's 5 more little human beings. They're going to carry that positivity and healthy thinking into their adulthood and into their lives, and they're going to pass that on to other people too.
Yeah.
And so tell me, because I know you're a religious man and family, how do you integrate those two in your life? It seems like they're so related and so interconnected.
Yeah, they are, for sure. I don't know that the integration needs to take place, because for me, it's who I am, and I don't hide from it. Obviously, I don't go into every conversation or every business proposal or whatever just screaming to the top of my lungs when I go to church and things like that. Although I'm not against that necessarily. It's just, I believe in time and place, but I also believe, more importantly, what's on the inside always comes out on the outside. And so for me, as a man of faith, that's who I am. And so for me, that comes first before anything else. And if anything, I believe that really, again, attracts the right type of person. In my case, it also adds accountability for me, because I know that my name is not just my own. I'm not representing just myself. I represent something and someone much bigger, much larger. I understand that there's consequences beyond the tangible, and for me, that adds responsibility. So I'm accountable not only to my fellow men, but more importantly to God, and I have to answer to Him for everything. So I don't, I just put it out there. I just really don't hide from it. Again, I'm not berating people who don't believe like me, but they know where I stand on certain things and who I am. It doesn't mean we can't get along. It may mean that we don't do business a certain way, but it doesn't mean I don't respect people, because ultimately, if we look at your belief systems, you should abide by them, and that should be transparent, and it should definitely assist in the way that you do things. I believe that it has for me, for sure.
Oh, without a doubt. Um, and it's about doing the right thing,
That's it.
even when nobody's looking.
There you go. Integrity.
And integrity is huge. Uh, I that is kind of a mantra I've had for years. Is because I saw it on the banner in the local high school here, and it was this huge banner that they put in the paper about. Um, always remember that doing the right thing is not always the popular thing to do.
Mm.
And as a kid growing up and teenagers with everything else that's going on with being a teenager, that's a great lesson to teach. I felt that it built strength and character, and that it's okay not to follow the crowd.
Absolutely.
If down deep you know that that's not really the right thing to do, and
Hmm.
it just carries on.
For sure.
All revolves around the power of positivity, without a doubt. Um, so, do you have any? We only have maybe 6 minutes left to go. Do you have
That's it. Come on, we
that?
just got started.
I know. And are there any words of wisdom that you would like to share, especially with new people? It doesn't have to apply just to being in online business. It
Hmm.
can apply to life, which they're both interconnected.
Yeah.
But what would your words of wisdom be to summarize what we've talked about today?
I think ultimately you get out what you put in, right? You get in what you put out, I should say. Some would call it karma, some call it, I call it reaping what you sow. That's what I call it. And I think, when you have that in mind, it definitely can help govern your mindset as to the things that you should be doing, saying, and how you should act.
Hmm.
Because ultimately what goes around comes around, and I don't care what side of the spectrum you're on, we all know that to be a universal truth. With that in mind, I would say that if success is what you're after, obviously for me, I'm a business guy, but then also I would imagine this exists. And I don't just imagine, I know it's true because I've seen it in other parts of my life. But the key is to find a success pattern and then duplicate it. And often that success pattern can be exemplified, shown, or taught by an individual or a couple of individuals, and we call that mentorship. So it definitely helps to find a mentor, someone who knows what they're talking about in a specific field, seek guidance from them. And my opinion is do whatever it takes to get them to give it to you. So for me, I've always been the proponent of, you know, uh, unsuccessful people, poor people, as it were. Seek out the rich person, seek out the successful person, and buy their lunch, not the other way around. That's kind of the way it has been, and that was me for the longest time, and I still do it. I find I look for reasons to impress and really show my willingness to learn, in that sense. I'm never above that. I've been blessed to be able to sit at the feet of many a great teacher and mentor in different parts of my life, and I'm the guy who goes out of my way to open their door, pull out their chair. I don't have any issues doing that. Some might find that surprising, especially if you know who I am and what I've done in the online space. I'm kind of looked at a certain way with respect, which I'm humbled by. I really appreciate that.
Hmm.
Um, but I think that the reason that I've been elevated in such a way is because I'm willing and always ready and willing and able to help out when I can, even for someone who's not up there per se. So
Well,
that,
I've even seen you reach out
mm,
and offer help, and that's very powerful. It's very powerful, and it makes a huge difference for the person you're reaching out to if they want that success and they're willing to grow and accept constructive criticism.
sure,
And that's all. It's all about getting better, and frankly, I feel it's being a better human being too.
that's it.
Because when we give that, uh, it's like the going through like the fast food line where you go up. Oh, the person in front of you paid for your meal,
Yeah.
Just passing it on. And then that person says, well, I'll just pay for the person behind me then. And it's just good overall. Our creator is all about love, and those are different factors of giving love and sharing it.
I enjoy paying it forward.
Yeah.
I think that's great. And to your point, that's a great example. I
Mhm.
try to do that every so often, but usually, I remember this past winter, so last December, end of last year, obviously is a rough year, still a rough year for a lot of people with regards to what's going on in the world. And so I decided that for the entire month of December, every time I go through a drive-through, which is virtually several times a week because I'm a Seattle coffee head, right? So whenever I
Yeah.
was at a drive-through getting coffee, if someone pulled up behind me, I would always buy their drinks, always buy their coffee, always buy their tea, whatever it was that they got at the coffee drive-through. And the places that I would go, they would see that and they'd say, "Oh, okay." I'd pull in and like, "Okay, you ready to cover this next load behind you? And are you sure you want to do this?" I'd say, "Yeah, just go ahead and do it. Matter of fact, let's do the next two cars." And I kind of got a reputation for doing it. And I'll be honest, it felt really good. It felt
Hmm.
really good. And I can tell you, I don't want to make it sound like the reason I did that was because I knew that I would get financial gain or that I got
No.
financial gain as a result of me doing it. But I got to tell you, if blessings be blessings, and what goes around comes around, and you reap what you sow. These are laws that are tried, tested, and proven as much as gravity, in my opinion.
Hmm.
I definitely got to see that and experience that. And it was great. And my wife was on board. My kids were on board. They were excited to do it, and for me, that was worth more than anything. Just being in the car and, okay, whose drinks are we buying today? We gonna put some smiles on the faces, that kind of thing. I
And
really,
you don't know what kind of day that person in the car or two
right,
behind you was having. That might have been the only act of kindness they had seen all week.
right,
Uh, yeah, and we reap what we sow, especially when it comes from the heart and it's genuine.
absolutely.
Like and that's why you felt good. That's a self-esteem builder, um, because you're doing something without expectation.
Mm,
And
that's right.
that's something very very important to me. Is if you're going to do something nice for someone, don't expect any results. Just
Sure.
do it,
Yeah.
and the results are amazing. Because I've had the same thing. I've had things come back to me later, sometimes a couple of years later. My God, that's all because I did this 2 years ago. That just blows my mind. And I felt very grateful that I was being able to be helpful because once in a while you do get feedback. No idea how I needed that day. It's a small act of kindness.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah. Well,
Absolutely.
that's wonderful. So
Yeah, I enjoy it, and I try to, like you say, try to instill it in my children as well. So I'm the guy who, with my older kids, they enjoy doing it too. If we're at a restaurant or a coffee shop, which is obviously that's what we do. If we, I got them trained, and they enjoy it. It's not just me. I say I got them trained because
right.
I'm trying to show them, but they really enjoy it too. But when we see our heroes in uniform, they're approaching them and saying thank you. When we see our law enforcement, they're approaching them and saying thank you. They're offering to buy them drinks. I had them go and give them gift cards. It's just, there are many unsung heroes in this world, and
Yeah.
especially after the year we had. So just that's what it's about for me. I'll take that positivity.
That's the side benefit of success is that you're in a position to be able to do more for others.
Absolutely.
And
Yeah,
if you don't have the funds or the money, you can always give someone your time, and that's the highest. That's the most valuable asset on earth is time.
that's true. That's very true. Interestingly enough, though, I would also, on that point, you make a good point. I would argue that, you don't, it's not something you should be, again, it comes down to who you are as a person internally. And so that positivity, I've always been this person before I had money, before I had
Hmm.
success. I'm not saying that I have always had it, but my point is I've always been willing to. And maybe if
Yes.
it meant that I would drink a little bit less, I've just always been that person.
Hmm.
So going back to, like, a lot of people are like, well, I'm going to be benevolent when I'm successful. No, you're benevolent or you're generous and you're kind otherwise. Now, I'm not telling you to not pay your bills and to not feed your kids, but I think we all could afford a little bit of generosity and benevolence here and there. If that means that I don't drink my 2 lattes today, but someone else can in appreciation, I think that that's fair and worth it.
Sure.
So the same is true with going back to my brethren in faith. A lot of people are like, well, I'm going to give tithes and offerings when I'm successful. No, you give tithes and offerings now, and watch the rest of your portion get blessed. That's what I personally believe. I believe you are who you are first, and then you get blessed, and then you get rewarded for being a faithful steward, as the word says. And yeah, I really believe in those dynamics as a person, and I'm happy to see that translate to my children, and I couldn't be more proud of them.
I mean, you know it. And the fact, because not all kids are going to be responsive to that, I think.
Mhm.
Uh, but that it's a way of living. It's a way of life, and we help ourselves, and we're not doing it intentionally, but we're helping others, and that just helps pass it on. It helps the world when you really want to look at the big picture. The more people that are doing these things, the better the world's going to be. Um, I believe that. Uh, so wonderful. We're at 10:01. Can you believe it? I know you have to catch an airplane too. Time
Oh,
goes
absolutely.
pretty fast, doesn't it?
Yeah, Fast and Furious. Yeah, yesterday it was a very, very full day. I was all over the 5 boroughs in New York. It was great.
I've been in the city. It's been a while, but how you did that just blows my mind.
And documented the whole thing, right? Put everything on my social media,
I
my
know.
stories.
How is he getting around the city like that? But that was cool. Enjoyed watching your trip, and thank you so much for being here with us, substituting for Cynthia today.
My
Um,
pleasure.
and
Hope I filled the role well. Hopefully she's okay with me. I'm not as pretty to look at as she is, so I'm hoping the audience is okay with that.
well, I think the audience should tell us what they think, don't you?
Yes, indeed. Let us know, please. I already know the answer. Like I said, I know I'm not as pretty as Cynthia. So,
You're just as nice, though.
I think I try to be. I don't know. She's pretty up there with the sweetness award. So
I
I don't know.
know she is. And I also, before we sign off, after we sign off, I'm going to post a link to Jason's information. And so, if you want to check him out a little bit more and learn a little more about him and his business, I will post that link. And please give us some feedback about today's. I did sharing with Sheila for so long that that's naturally what comes out of my mouth. But with Help of the Cooler with Rhonda and Cynthia, we really appreciate you stepping up and helping out today. And I hope people were taking notes because you had some really good golden nuggets in there.
My pleasure. Yeah, hope it was helpful to some people.
Yeah, me too. Let us know, folks. Thank you again. And until next week, we're going to sign off for now. Have a good day.